The night Grandma Elsie was kicked out, the sky was crying. Rain splashed against the windows like tiny fists. Thunder grumbled above like a tired old bear. Inside the warm house, Trevor stood tall, his face hard like a locked door. He didn't even look her in the eyes. "I told you before, Mom," he said. "You can't stay here anymore." Grandma Elsie's hands trembled. She held a small brown suitcase with peeling edges. That suitcase carried her whole world now. A nightgown, a sweater, some photos, and one very old bank book no one knew about. "You don't mean this," she whispered, her voice soft like a moth's wing. "I raised you, Trevor, alone, after your father died." But Trevor didn't flinch. "That was a long time ago. Things have changed." "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "They have." Trevor's wife didn't speak. She just stood behind him, arms crossed, eyes cold. Elsie had heard her whispering for months. "She's old. She eats too little. She watches the same show every day. Why is she still here?" And now her only child was throwing her away like crumpled paper. The door opened. Wind howled through. Elsie looked at Trevor one last time, searching for the boy who used to draw her hearts in crayon. But he was gone. She stepped into the storm. The rain soaked her thin shoes in seconds. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just walked. Her bones ached, but her mind was sharp. She had lived through harder days. She remembered wartime sugar rations, the silence after her husband's funeral, and teaching children to read even when her own eyes were tired. She also remembered something else. Tucked inside her suitcase, beneath the folded scarf, was an old bank book. It held no magic spells or gold coins. But inside it told a secret story, one that no one, not even Trevor, knew. Over the years, Elsie had saved. A little from her teacher's pension. A little from tutoring. A small house she sold long ago. She invested slowly, quietly, wisely. And now, after all these years, her account held something that shimmered like moonlight on water. $1,400,000. She never told anyone. It wasn't for showing off. It wasn't for diamonds or big houses. It was her safety, her secret. But now, as she walked through puddles, teeth chattering, it became her shield. The city was loud and cold. Cars hissed by. Lights blinked in foggy shop windows. But no one saw the old woman with gray curls and soaked shoes. No one cared. She kept walking. Her feet led her to a narrow street she hadn't seen before. A crooked wooden sign swung in the wind, Sunflower Street. It didn't look like much, a few little shops, a bakery with chipped paint, a bookstore with leaning shelves, and a playground with rusted swings. But somehow it felt warm. Familiar. Just then, the bakery door opened. A chubby woman in a flour-dusted apron stepped out, holding a trash bag. She gasped when she saw Elsie. "Good heavens! You'll catch your death in this rain." "I'm fine," Elsie said politely, but her lips were blue. "Nonsense. Come inside. Now." Inside the bakery, it smelled like cinnamon and warm bread. The woman handed her a towel. "My name's Ruby," she said. "You don't have anywhere to go, do you?" Elsie hesitated, then shook her head. "You can stay in the back for now. It's not much, just a cot and some boxes. But it's dry." Elsie wanted to cry, but instead she smiled. "Thank you." That night, she lay on the little cot and listened to the storm outside. The roof creaked, but it held. And for the first time since Trevor slammed the door, she breathed without pain in her chest. Days passed. Elsie began helping around the bakery, wiping counters, tying bread bags, handing out cookies to little ones. Ruby didn't ask questions. She just smiled and let Elsie stay. Every morning, Elsie watched the street. She saw a girl selling flowers for her sick mother. She saw a boy stealing apples and then crying behind a tree. She saw an old man struggling to carry books to his shop. And she saw herself in them, their tired eyes, their quiet hope. So one day, she opened her suitcase, took out her bank book, and walked into the bank on the corner. She didn't take everything, just a little. Enough. She returned and paid the flower girl's rent. She gave the apple boy's family a bag of groceries. She handed the old man a new trolley for his books. But she never gave her name. She just smiled and disappeared around corners. Soon, people started calling her Mama Hope. "Who is Mama Hope?" the children whispered. "I don't know," the grown-ups said. "But she always comes when you need her most." Elsie didn't want fame. She didn't want thanks. She just wanted to help. Every gift made her heart lighter. Every smile made her bones feel less stiff. Every thank you brought back the color in her world. One afternoon, she sat in the park and watched the clouds roll by. A little boy sat beside her. His shoes had holes. His coat was thin. He looked just like Trevor had many years ago, same eyes, same nose, same lonely silence. "Do you want a sandwich?" she asked. He nodded. She gave him one, wrapped in paper, still warm from the bakery. He took a bite, then looked at her with wide eyes. "You're nice." She smiled. "You too." He leaned against her shoulder, and she stroked his messy hair. In that moment, Grandma Elsie felt something strange. Not sadness, not anger, but a seed of joy, tiny but real. Trevor had broken her heart, but the world had given her a new one. That night, she wrote in her little notebook, "Even a broken heart can bloom again." Sunflower Street began to change. It didn't happen all at once, but little by little, like flowers blooming after rain, things began to grow brighter. The bakery got a new oven. The playground got a fresh coat of paint. The bookstore's roof stopped leaking, and children started smiling more. No one saw Mama Hope giving out money. She moved like the wind, silent, gentle, and kind. One day, someone found a bag of warm clothes on their doorstep. Another day, a basket of fruit appeared for a mother who had fallen sick. "Mama Hope strikes again," they would whisper with a smile. Elsie watched from her bakery window each morning. Her hands still trembled when she poured tea. Her knees still cracked when she stood too long. But her heart? Oh, her heart had never been stronger. She began putting small envelopes into mailboxes, each with a little note. "You are not alone. You matter. There is always hope." She used her savings bit by bit, not all at once, never enough to notice in the bank, but just enough to keep Sunflower Street glowing. She didn't want people to feel pitied. She wanted them to feel powerful. She knew what it was like to feel forgotten, thrown away, unwanted. And she would never let anyone feel that again. Across the city, things were not glowing for Trevor. He had lost his job a few months after kicking his mother out. The company said they were downsizing. Then his car was towed. Then the mortgage payments fell behind. Then his wife packed her bags and said she was done being the adult. Now Trevor sat alone in a small apartment, staring at the cracked ceiling. He had traded his mother's love for silence. He had chosen pride over peace. And it haunted him. One morning, he walked past a newsstand. A headline caught his eye. "Mystery Woman Saving Lives on Sunflower Street. Who is Mama Hope?" He froze. The photo was blurry, taken from behind, a woman with gray curls walking with a little girl, hand in hand. He blinked. He knew those curls. He bought the paper with shaky fingers and read every word. She had given to the flower sellers. She had helped the baker. She had saved the bookstore. She had become a hero. Trevor sat on a bench in shock. His hands began to sweat. Could it be? He remembered the suitcase, the one she never let go of. Could she really have had money all this time? But more than that, could she have become someone even greater without him? His feet moved before his mind did. He didn't even know where Sunflower Street was. He asked a bus driver. He got off at the wrong stop. He walked in circles. But finally he turned a corner and saw the old wooden sign swinging in the breeze. Sunflower Street. It smelled like fresh bread and wildflowers. Laughter echoed in the air. People smiled and waved at one another like family. Trevor felt like he had stepped into another world. Then he saw it. A painted mural on a wall, a sunflower, tall and golden, with small names written on each petal. At the bottom, in soft yellow letters, it said, "The Heart House, founded by Mama Hope." It was a cozy brick building, with a garden in front and children playing hopscotch on the sidewalk. Inside, people were reading, drawing, hugging. There were toys, art supplies, and shelves full of books. Trevor stood frozen on the sidewalk. And then he saw her, his mother. She was sitting on a rocking chair, holding a baby, laughing as a little girl braided her hair. Her back was straighter. Her eyes were brighter. She looked happy. Trevor couldn't breathe. He wanted to run. He wanted to cry. He wanted to turn back time. Instead, he stepped forward. Elsie looked up. Her smile faded when she saw him. Her hands slowly stopped rocking the chair. The little girl tugged her sleeve. "Mama Hope? Who's that man?" Elsie stood. Trevor couldn't speak. He tried. "I didn't know. I didn't know you had all this inside you." Elsie looked at him for a long time. Then she said softly, "You didn't want to know." He nodded. "I was wrong." "Yes," she said. "You were." "I'm sorry, Mom." She closed her eyes for a moment. "Sorry is just a word, Trevor. I've heard many words in my life." "I know." She studied him. "You can't fix everything with one visit." "I'm not here to fix," he whispered. "I just want to help." Elsie looked into his eyes. Something in her face softened, just a little. "Then help," she said. "But not for me. For them." And she pointed to the children. Trevor returned the next day. And the day after that. He painted walls. He cleaned toys. He read stories. At first, the kids didn't trust him. But slowly they began to smile when he came. He learned how to bake bread with Ruby. He helped the bookstore owner stack new donations. He shared food with the flower girl and her mother. And each night he watched his mother, Mama Hope, and felt something strange in his chest. Hope. Weeks passed. Sunflower Street grew busier. More people came. Some brought food. Others brought books. A woman who had once slept in her car now ran the art room. A boy who had stolen candy now helped sweep the floors every morning. The Heart House had become more than a shelter. It had become a heartbeat. Then one day, dark clouds rolled in again, not in the sky, but on the sidewalk. A man in a suit arrived. His shoes were shiny. His nose was pointy. His eyes were sharp like broken glass. He spoke to the shop owners. He showed papers. His name was Mr. Grimsley. And he wanted Sunflower Street. Not the people. Not the stories. Just the land. He planned to build a shiny shopping center. He said the Heart House would be better off somewhere else. He said there was no record of ownership. He said, "Move or be moved." Trevor stormed into the bakery furious. "He can't do this. This place is alive." Elsie was calm. Too calm. "Let him try," she said. "What do you mean?" "He has lawyers." "I have truth," she said, pulling a thin folder from her suitcase. Trevor opened it and gasped. Inside were copies of deeds, donations, city permits, everything in perfect order. Dates, names, signatures. "You planned for this," he said. Elsie nodded. "Mama Hope is no fool." Word spread quickly. The whole street gathered. They painted signs. They sang songs. They shared stories. And when Mr. Grimsley returned with his clipboard, he found something he didn't expect. Love, unity, power, and paperwork. He turned red, then pale. Then he left. Sunflower Street was safe. That night, under the stars, they threw a party. There was music and dancing and lemonade. Children laughed and old folks told stories. Trevor sat beside his mother and watched her smile. "You never needed me," he said quietly. Elsie shook her head. "No, but I always hoped you'd come back. I'm sorry it took me so long." She placed her hand on his. "You're here now. That's what matters." And for the first time in years, Trevor cried, not because he was lost, but because he was found. The sun rose over Sunflower Street like a golden ribbon. The bakery windows steamed with warm bread. Children skipped to the Heart House with backpacks. A guitar played softly near the fountain. Everything was alive. Elsie sat on the bench outside the Heart House, her favorite blue shawl around her shoulders and a basket of fresh muffins on her lap. Her silver curls sparkled in the sunlight. People waved. Children hugged her legs. Some called her Grandma. Most called her Mama Hope. But no one saw the paper in her hand. It was a letter from the city. A letter with a gold seal and fancy words. It said she had been chosen as Heart of the City, a secret nomination made by many of the people she had helped. They wanted to name a part of the neighborhood after her. Trevor stood beside her. His jeans were dusty. His shirt had paint smudges. But his eyes were different now, steady, calm, and kind. "I told them no," Elsie said, folding the letter. Trevor blinked. "You did?" "I don't want my name on a building," she smiled. "I want my name in people's stories." Trevor nodded. "Well, you're in mine." She patted his hand. Just then, a young woman ran toward them, breathless. Her name was Layla. She had once lived in a car with her baby. Now she ran the learning room at the Heart House. "Elsie," she called. "Come quickly. There's a man at the door. Says he's from the government. Something about taxes." Elsie chuckled. "Tell him I pay in muffins." But when she stepped into the building, her laughter stopped. The man in the suit wasn't from the government. He was from Mr. Grimsley. He smiled like a fox and tapped his briefcase. "You may have scared off my boss," he said, "but now I've got a new plan. I've found an old code that says this building might not be legal. It was supposed to be a bakery, not a community center. I can have it shut down." People in the room gasped. Elsie didn't blink. "Unless," the man said slowly, "you agree to sell." Trevor stepped forward. She already said no. The man ignored him. She might change her mind. After all, she's not getting any younger. Elsie looked him straight in the eye. Young man, she said calmly, you should leave before my oven gets hot enough to throw you in. The man snorted. You think muffins will stop lawyers? No, she said. But truth will. She turned to the wall. Everyone followed her eyes. There, hanging on a crooked nail, was a big white envelope. She walked over, opened it, and pulled out something that made the whole room quiet. A copy of her will. Trevor gasped. Mom, I wrote it years ago, she said. But I updated it last night. The paper said clearly every penny she owned, all $1.4 million, was now locked in a fund for the Hart House. Forever. She smiled. I may be old, she said, but I'm not done protecting what I love. The man's smirk disappeared. He grabbed his briefcase and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. People began cheering. Hugs were passed around like cookies. Some cried. Trevor stood frozen. You gave it all away, he whispered. Elsie nodded. I don't need it, she said. I have enough. But you could have traveled. Bought a home. A car. Anything. I have a home, she said softly, looking around. Right here. Trevor's eyes burned with tears. He looked around the room. Children laughing, neighbors painting, friends sharing lunch. And in the center of it all, his mother, the woman he had once forgotten, now more powerful than he ever imagined. That night, they sat on the porch together under a soft sky. Crickets chirped. Fireflies blinked. Do you forgive me? Trevor asked. Elsie didn't answer right away. Then she said, I don't need to. He looked down. She touched his hand. Because you're no longer the boy who left me behind. You're the man who stayed to help build this. He nodded, wiping his eyes. A soft breeze passed between them. And you? She asked gently. Do you forgive yourself? Trevor looked at her. Really looked at her. I think I'm learning how. Elsie leaned back and looked at the stars. I like to think, she whispered, that love is like a garden. Sometimes it dies. But if the soil is good, and you plant new seeds, something beautiful always grows again. The next morning, the city brought a golden plaque. Not for a street name, not for a statue. Just a small, simple sign beside the door that read, Welcome to the Hart House where hope grows. Underneath, in tiny letters, Inspired by Mama Hope. Elsie stood in front of it with Trevor beside her. And for the first time in a long, long time, she felt completely at peace. Not because of the money, not because of the plaque, but because a broken heart had bloomed again. Not in a castle or a mansion, but right here on Sunflower Street. And this time she was not alone. Not ever again. Moral of the story. True wealth is not about money or things. It is about kindness, love, and never giving up hope. Even when people hurt us, forgiveness and helping others can heal our hearts and build something beautiful. Sometimes the greatest treasure is found in giving, caring, and believing in second chances. Thank you for reading this story about love, courage, and hope. Remember, no matter what happens, you have the power to be kind and strong. Like Mama Hope, you can make the world a brighter place, one small act of kindness at a time. Keep believing in yourself and others because every heart can grow a garden of hope.